Democrats need to be mature, and they need to be honest. And they need to say, yes, there's misogyny. But it's not just misogyny from white men. Mm-hmm. It's misogyny from Hispanic men.
Right.
It's misogyny from black men, things we've all been talking about, who do not want a woman leading them. Might be race issues with Hispanics. They don't want a black woman as president of the United States.
And some of the most misogynist things I've heard going on this Get Out the Vote tour came from black men.
If Trump was as bad as they said he is, they didn't need to make up so many lies. Hi guys, so just a few hours ago, Donald Trump was officially announced as the 47th president of the United States, winning the election against Kamala Harris, and not just winning the popular vote. As someone who has followed Donald Trump's story, it's been a really inspiring one, and is one of perseverance. I mean, whether you like him or not, you can admit that he has gone through a lot and he really fought his way back to the presidency, and it worked out in his favor. I mean, Trump is someone that went from winning the 2016 election against all odds, like he was written off by all the media, virtually every media organization. Celebrities hated him. He was made fun of, and he still won the election against all odds, even losing the popular votes, but winning the Electoral College. During his presidency, he was fraught with a lot of attacks from the opposition. He was blacklisted by the media. He was accused of colluding with Russia, and he still went on to give a very good economy to Americans. I mean, this is a man that survived impeachment, and in 2020, he was thrust into a pandemic in which he had to manage the situation quickly. He was criticized heavily for. He was called a threat to democracy, and he ended up losing the 2020 election despite having a very high number of votes for a sitting president. You know, he would later be accused of staging an insurrection at the Capitol. He would have his social media handles all scrubbed, you know, having to even start his own social media channel, Truth Social, you know, just to get his message out there. I mean, even while he was not in office, he was still a regular talking point for the media. It was even like the current administration was still playing opposition to him, you know, even while he wasn't in office. He would go on to be arrested and even convicted, you know, a convicted felon. And still, his popularity was still intact. His supporters still had his back. He would even go on to survive not just one, but 2 attempts on his life. And it would seem that all this suffering he went through, all this trauma, while still looking younger. I don't know how he does it. He still looks young, even though he's going through so much stress. It seems all of the sleepless nights have paid off, because now Donald Trump is the 47th president of the United States. And he didn't just win the election this time around. He won the Senate, he won the House, and he won the popular vote. So it seems like he has a whole lot more arsenal to work with than the first time he was in office, and I'm sure he's overjoyed about that. Personally, the first time I heard of Donald Trump was from the WWE, from wrestling, because I remember watching him in a match on WrestleMania. It was a hair versus hair match between Donald Trump and Vince McMahon, where the loser, they would shave his hair. Then he seemed like somebody that was loved by the public. I mean, whenever he appeared, they were cheering him. Basically, they were cheering him as opposed to Vince McMahon. And the match itself was against 2 wrestlers called Bobby Lashley and Umaga, who is late now. Bobby Lashley is a black wrestler, and Donald Trump was in his corner, while Umaga, a Samoan wrestler, was in Vince McMahon's corner. It's kind of ironic now, because everybody says Trump is a racist. I mean, for him to have a black wrestler in his corner, I don't know. Donald Trump is somebody who never shies away from letting his mind be known. He talks a whole lot, and a lot of the times his words are seen as very inciting. He had this populist thing going. He said his mind, and Many people are not seeing that kind of thing in politics before, because normally in politics, people measure their words. There are so many interests, and you're always trying to balance, which one favors you. But Trump is somebody that says it as it is. If he doesn't like somebody, he will say it. And sometimes it comes off the wrong way, especially when you're in such a position of power. When you say such things, they can have devastating effects. And a lot of the time, indeed, the opposition will take his words and they will take them out of context, and they will create narratives around them to create even more hate. I mean, just towards the end of this election, there was this whole narrative. They were saying that Trump called Puerto Ricans garbage. If you go and research it well, you'll find out that it wasn't actually Trump that said it. It was a comedian that said Tony Hinchcliffe, that's the name of the comedian. And it was a joke.
There's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right.
It was a bad joke, but it was a joke. But they kind of took that whole thing to mean like Trump hates Puerto Ricans. And even when Trump disavowed the joke, and even the comedian, he threw the comedian under the bus.
Aware that you had no idea about this comedian who made comments.
I have no idea who he is. Somebody said there was a comedian that joked about Puerto Rico or something, and I have no idea who he was. Never saw him, never heard of him, and don't want to hear of him. But I have no idea. They put a comedian in, which everybody does. You throw comedians in. You don't vet them and go crazy. It's nobody's fault. But somebody said some bad things. Now,
they still went to that narrative. There's the whole thing about Project 2025, which Trump himself has said he doesn't know anything about Project 2025. It has nothing to do with it. The foundation that came up with Project 2025 documents, they too said Trump has nothing to do with it. But the media still insists that Trump is bringing Project 2025. What's in that document? Honestly, I don't really know. I don't even know what's in there. But there are a lot of terrible things in there, apparently, that the media says he wants to implement. They said he was colluding with Russia, which FBI came out and said it wasn't true. I don't know. They even said like he told people to drink bleach, which upon seeing the clip, he doesn't even mention bleach, and he's not even telling anybody to do anything. He's discussing with a medical advisor. A lot of the time they said that he was racist, especially against blacks. Like that was the recurrent narrative in the media, that he was racist. But for some reason, he kept getting increasing support among blacks, among Hispanics. His first term, unemployment among blacks was at record lows, and it was said that he donated money to historically black universities. He even pardoned a lot of black people from prison before he left. I don't know, the whole narrative, I'm not sure where it came from, that he was this serious racist. They called him Hitler, they called him Nazi. In fact, that guy has been through a lot. And honestly, the things Trump has been through, sometimes I wonder if presidency is worth it. Because even the presidency, when you get it, it's like it's more stress on you. I mean, look at his first term. Like he was just stressed out all through. My personal thought is, in a bid for the Democrat Party's opposition to make him lose the election, they kind of created this boogeyman and ended up getting everybody to feel sympathy for him, and it backfired. That's basically what, because if Trump was as bad as they said he is, they didn't need to make up so many lies and so many embellishments against him. Like, it was so unnecessary. If truly this guy is the demon you say he is, I mean, just report what he's doing. But they ended up adding a lot of salt, adding a lot of sugar. I mean, calling him Hitler, Nazi, all those things has now come back to bite them, because he won the popular votes. Does it mean that majority of Americans are Nazis? How are they going to explain it now? Kamala Harris lost and lost badly, and a lot of people are saying she lost because Americans don't want to vote for a woman, which doesn't really make much sense because she got a lot of votes. She got 66 million votes, about 66 million votes. And she was just introduced into the race because they didn't have confidence in Biden. She didn't go through the primaries. And she was unpopular as a VP. According to the polls, she was very unpopular as a VP. So them now saying that people don't want to vote for her because she's a woman is really, really not true. A lot of people voted for her. It's just more people voted for Trump. And Trump has been president. Trump has a serious fan base. Trump's votes were not even that much compared to the votes he got last election. Like, it's the same fans that voted for him. Same fans then voted for him now. So, like, saying that people didn't want to vote for her because she's a woman, I think is part of the narratives they keep pushing that keeps making them lose. Hillary Clinton, when she ran against Trump, she won the popular vote. She had more votes than Trump. It's just that it was the Electoral College that made Trump win. So saying that America is not ready to elect a woman, that's a very problematic discussion. Another thing that I feel that made Kamala Harris lose is that her positions were never really clear. She would go on one program and say one thing, go on another program and contradict herself. On some program, she would say she's going to change a lot of things.
For a Harris administration, what would the major changes be, and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I noticed.
And so that would be one change in terms of. But also, I think it's important to say with 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump.
And then she'll go on another program and say that she's not going to change any policy from Biden.
Well, if anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
And America was in a very trying period, like still in a very trying period. I think the American people were not that confident in Kamala Harris, and they didn't get to know her for a long enough time, as a presidential candidate. And that may have been what led to them ultimately choosing Trump. Trump had been there for 4 years. They weighed what he did then and said, well, he's okay. He's the lesser of two evils, I guess. They kept pushing that in the public consciousness that she's a woman and they want her to be the first black woman president. And I think that turned a lot of people off, honestly. And I'll explain. Like, imagine Obama being America's first black president. I don't think he ever once during his campaigns came out and said, I'm black, doesn't vote for me because I'm black. I think if he had done that, he never would have won. But people voted for him because he was a competent and charismatic person, charismatic leader that happened to be black. Like, him being black was not the forefront. It's just that he was charismatic, he was confident, he could talk, he had a good track record, he had a good family, and they said this guy is a good option. And I think people are tired of the George Bush years, the whole war mongering thing, the war with Iraq and everything. People are not happy with that. So they opted for Obama. Obama didn't go around saying I'm black, vote for me because I'm black, I'm disadvantaged, that kind of thing. He never went about that. And even, you can now say that because Americans voted for him, both whites and everybody voted for him, and he won. So I think that's the approach. You need to be more issue-based. I think being issue-based is what wins elections in America. And maybe both sides will learn from it going forward. So I'm looking forward to what Trump's win means for Nigeria. I mean, as Trump was declared, Nigerian president rushed to congratulate Trump. I mean, his congratulations are everywhere on social media and all that. So I wonder how this is going to play out, how it will play out in the running of our affairs in Nigeria, you know, because Nigeria is not in a good shape. It's evident. And I mean, we have a lot of issues. We have electoral issues. Our economy is in shambles. If Americans are thinking that the economy is bad, maybe they see Nigeria zone. Nigeria zone is so bad that even our neighbors, like our currency in relation to our neighbors in Africa is bad, not to talk of the American currency or European currencies, because there's been a lot of mismanagement, a lot of corruption. So I wonder, you know, the American president is seen as the leader of the free world. I wonder if Trump coming back, he would have an effect, because Trump doesn't hide his thoughts, you know, about any presidents around the world. I mean, he's called our former president Buhari, I mean, he said he was lifeless. I don't know what he would call Tinubu when he sees him. I can't imagine how that interaction will go. I think one silver lining that can be gotten from this election and the results is that it was free and fair. It was seen to be free and fair. And Trump won both the popular vote and the electoral college. So, like, there can't really be any debate about there was rigging or anything like that. So America can move forward knowing that, okay, majority of people chose this guy, and let's see how it will work out in the future, as opposed to elections like ours, where, I mean, the server was going off, glitching, and even, I mean, it was just a whole mess. Even the reports on the election, the EU reports, all of them were saying that the whole thing was a mess. So I wish free and fair elections will also be a norm, like in Africa, in Nigeria. I mean, see how sweet the American election was, even for us watching outsiders. We really enjoyed it. We enjoyed the whole process, free and fair. You guys voted your president, and now you guys can move forward. So I wish the same thing for us. I did a street poll on who Nigerians were supporting for the election, and you can check out that poll here. What are your thoughts about the election? That is my rant about this. Was Trump's victory, did you like it, or are you angered by it? What did you think of the electoral process? Tell me in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Obi King. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you'll be informed whenever I post a new video. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys in the next one soon.